Welcome everybody, it's playoffs time here in Thunderpick in North America. I am your host / analyst Paladin. Joined with me is an unlikely duo, but one I'm very excited to get stuck into. The panel includes B-Dog and Vincent. We'll start with B-Dog. How are you doing,
Hey,
man? It's
look,
nice and late for you today.
yeah, man. Look, I didn't even know that I didn't need a green screen. Hang on, I can fix that. Wait there. Let me just do it live.
Don't leave me out hanging dry.
Yeah. There we go. So now I'm back
God.
now. It's like I've got the aura around me. It's just because NA Counter-Strike is here, and I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm a last-minute addition. I don't know too much, but I'm willing to learn, and I'm very happy for you to ask me questions, but I'm going to give everyone just a heads up. I don't know anything, and that's fine.
We're always going to be as welcoming as possible. Our player base is dwindling, so we need as many eyeballs as we can get, right, Vincent?
Yeah, we do. And listen, I think between me and you, Paladin, we can get some answers. We'll get there eventually. It's not really a worry.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we'll start with the bracket, and this, I think, Brandon, you'll have at least a little bit of a handle on when you look at this. I mean, I think it's very clear to me what the final that we want to be tomorrow.
I agree. One of Aether versus Zomblers or InControl.
Right, of course.
Just kidding. This is the only game, by the way. This is the only quarterfinal that is going to be played. Everyone else, everyone else is a forfeit. What are we doing in this region, guys? Like, come on. Like, how are we playing the group stage games and then forfeiting? Is it because you're scared of Wildcard? Oh, boo-hoo, Wildcard's so good. Oh, boo-hoo, MAT is so good. Play the damn game.
Can I give like a hypothetical potential, like, here's what's actually happening?
Yeah.
What's actually happening is that people troll, and they troll their schedules, and then they accept invites. That they have a team at the time they accept the invite, and then they don't have a team at the time the game is happening.
How does that happen? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be the host, Paladin, but like, how does that happen? How can you have a team for a group stage and not have a team for the playoffs?
So the bizarre thing is that a lot of these teams are mixes. So like FarmVille, Incognito, we have no idea how serious some of these rosters are, and I think that's the biggest issues. Yeah, and I mean, that's what obviously this bracket suggests, right? Is that they're not, and that's what makes for this bracket to be a little bit more complicated than it needs to be. But hey, at the end of the day, for me, if I get a wildcard M80 best of 3 tomorrow, tomorrow night, I will be a very happy camper. But we'll get stuck into this quarterfinal, which I think, for all intents and purposes, would have been the most competitive one, regardless. We'll start with the Zombler sides of things because they've got one of your countrymen here, Brandon. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is the Tsunami Core, right?
Yes.
I remember. I actually remember covering Poseidon, Cool Comms, and Cajun in the last Thunderpick North America last year, and they played Ancient, and Poseidon got this like really sick 4K. That's literally all I remember. I don't know what they've been up to, but it's nice that they're still together. There you go. There's my analyst segment.
I actually really like the. I mean, it's a great point, right? The chemistry is absolutely there for that core. It's still been there for a long time. They added in Zocker, and I don't know, Vincent. I like the addition a lot. I think he has been. I mean, I feel like there's so many pieces on Outfit 49 that have gone to different projects, and I like all of the moves for all of them.
Yeah, I agree. This is not a long-term move, I don't think, though. Zoker is an opper.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And Poseidon is an opper. And if you're talking about picking Poseidon or Zoker, I'm picking Poseidon. And that's as a Zoker fan, by the way. I knew about Zoker before anybody else, really, because of how much I cover collegiate. And he was, a big factor of a very competitive George Mason University team that I got to cover about 2.5 years ago. So, I like Zoker, and I think that he can be a really impactful piece of a team. And to be fair to him, he's actually been pretty good standing in for Zomblers in the ECL Cup. And I think that'll continue here. But I do think that it's probably just a short-term situation because they cut Polo and Grape, and then they had to bring back somebody. Fire back for the 3rd time, baby. This time it's going to work. And then they had to figure out what they were going to do because Hambuga is officially retired. And so I think it's just a matter of, like, figuring things out with the way that the VRS core currently exists.
So is
Yeah,
Poseidon, sorry, is
go
Poseidon
for it.
AWPin then, or is Zoka AWPin? I imagine Poseidon's AWPin, right?
I
I'd
gotta
imagine
assume it's Poseidon.
right? Yeah, and I think, I mean, obviously the double op setup is available, but Sucker's rifling is actually fairly serviceable. So I think that they'll be totally fine regardless of the situation moving forward. But on the other side of the equation, InControl marching through the groups pretty comfortably. They didn't have the most difficult group by any means, but taking care of the job, Vincent, and it feels like I like the rifle core that's building here. Scorchy doesn't blow me away on the AWP, but Aenu, Alor, Tyra, these guys I feel a little bit more exciting to me, and why I feel like this team could go deep.
Yeah, listen, I think InControl. Let's like get the recent result bias out of the way real fast, because they just won the ECL Cup for Cup 3. Like, I mean, that's legit in as much as it can be with the field that was in that event. But there was a lot of upsets, and they beat everyone put in front of them, and they played really well. Scorchy had a very impressive general overperformance. I mean, I think he ended with like a 1.25 rating over the course of the event. It was like 13 maps. It was very impressive. And that's not what you typically expect from Scorchy. I agree with you. I think he's quite serviceable to good, but typically isn't going to blow your mind or anything. But ANU has been a guy ever since, coming in January. He and Aether joined at the same time, that has been really solid. And I have been impressed by a guy that I didn't really previously get a chance to look at. I do think it's kind of funny, though, that we have pictures for the two newest members of this InControl roster, and also the least experienced members. The rest of InControl have been in NA forever and have played tons and tons of events. But yeah, I gotta say, I think InControl, their ceiling can be so much higher than I think most people give them credit for. And that's how they're able to win things, here and there, like winning a cup.
Yeah, I think the sky is the limit for this team in terms of at least winning and getting into that conversation where they're playing the tougher competition in North America, like your Wildcards and M80s. I'm not going to say that they're ready to beat those teams by any stretch of the imagination, but we need more of these newer players to face them and lose a couple of times. I hate to be calling games before they've even remotely happened, but that's just how it is. That's the rite of passage for a lot of these newer players. That's how we build a region up from the ground up, and until then, we're going to continue to be importing, and I don't want to do that. So let's jump into the veto and continue to talk, because we're heading into game start pretty quickly here. Vincent, I'll touch on Mirage, Inferno, and Dust 2. Stock standard maps, I feel pretty strongly for InControl here.
Yeah, I think it looks that way pretty handily, especially that Mirage. I mean, that Mirage has been so consistently good. That's a big reason that they made that ECL run. And listen, Inferno has been a home map for Zomblers forever. I mean, seriously, as long as I can remember, back to what Brandon was talking about with regard to that Tsunami core, that's absolutely been the Zomblers go-to. But dude, it's actually been really solid here for InControl. It was another part of their solid run. They beat Lag, who's a good Inferno team, Regain, who's the best at Inferno. They have such a high ceiling on that map. So even though they lost some games at Frag 20, I personally feel like this Inferno is something that InControl can be capable of, even though they've lost to Zomblers on this map in the past.
Yeah, I'm feeling three maps here. I'm feeling three maps, and I do feel like I like the rifle core just a little bit better, but we're going to get this quarterfinal underway. Mirage to kickstart as a B-Dog, and Vincent, take us away.
Nice. Okay, that was a little music thing I got pre-warned about. Very nice to jump into the action. Just kidding. Now we're getting reset. Ooh. I don't like that there's only 2 pictures here, but the good news is that all the mini-map is numbers, so I think we'll be fine. I like that Paladin said before we went live behind the scenes, guys, that he was going to throw me under the bus and decided just not to talk to me. So nice. Cheers, mate. Hopefully I'll hear from you in the second map when you speak about me. We can have a little conversation. I just wanted to know who was AWPing on Zomblers.
I mean, that is, I guess, in technicality, still a question. But I looked at the games they played in ECL, and it looked like Poseidon still is taking it. So, which makes sense. I mean, yeah. If my expectation, which is that this is probably a short-term thing with Zoker, is the case, then that dies.
All right, well, let's get into it. Scorchy will get rid of Coolcoms early, and I was going to say there's actually a lot of players here on this A bomb site for Zomblers. Zoka has just found a double. Nade Kill as well will claim another, and Cajun is just sprinting around the bomb site, getting rid of the rest of InControl. Certainly not InControl for that pistol. Zomblers, as soon as they lose the opening pick, they just find every single kill.
I mean, it wasn't just Cajun. I feel like everybody was just sprinting and shooting and shooting and sprinting and having a little bit of fun with it at the end of the day. But yeah, a pretty impressive double out of Zoker. He too was on the move, and InControl's A hit was about as poorly as it could. I think part of the reason this is so hard of a game to call, like expectation-wise, is that really does depend on the individual form of a lot of these players. Like if Anyu's having a great game, you know, if Aether is at the top of his abilities, if Tyra is really capable, you know, I think that InControl are able to outshoot like a team like Zomblers, but it goes both ways.
Oh, okay. Well, a Mach 10 push through Connector has netted a kill, and he's got a kill with the molly. He's got a kill with the molly hitting Coolcoms. He was only on 1 HP. That's cool. That's NA, baby. One plant on A. 3v2. Dual breasters of Poseidon can't find anything, but at least there's a trade. And now Scorchy tries to push through the smoke. He gets punished by Zoka. And InControl will at least plant the bomb, but it'll be Zomblers winning back-to-back rounds. Only a couple of players staying alive, though. There's an argument where, actually, you can't force it. That was your force buy.
You say that with such confidence, and I really envy that.
We're in.
I really envy that. Yeah, so anyway, you just can't force buy.
Well, there's an argument to force buy.
I do. I think there is. And to be honest, I wouldn't make it, but I do think that argument is pretty valid when you can get 3 Galils and a boatload of utility in this round. There is a lot of options for the way in which InControl want to approach this. Looks like they're going to go back towards middle, try and put more pieces in this location to just overtake it. They have this opportunity because they have that extra utility. Oh, he's in the smoke. Cajun's inside the smoke, only going to get the one, but Zoka collapses. Coming in from Catwalk, he's got Poseidon as well. He's in window, and the help just keeps on coming for Zomblers in middle.
Yeah, well, what I actually like here, and I think what we're getting out of Zomblers is it's very clear, and what I like is that we've got these players that have been together for a while here out of the CTs, because what we're seeing is really good fundamentals. And I think what we're seeing out of InControl is, I think reactions not really being there immediately, but we got that out of Zomblers in this round. We get the immediate crunch coming through middle. You get the step in from short, the step in from connector. You've got the break on the smoke. Poseidon's able to find a kill as well. 3 versus 2, it is a little bit concerning that Zomblers are still remaining with 2 players on this bomb site. They don't hear anything, and as they speak it into existence, Zoka will give another cursory glance towards the apartments before moving back to join forces with Coolcoms. 45 seconds. Scorchy pushes through Palace. He's the one with the bomb. As long as he doesn't get caught by Coolcoms, it should be okay. But look at this rotation.
Joker's now got eyes on. Great shot out of him. Tagged down to 13. But of course, as you mentioned, Coolcoms still close by. There isn't going to be an easy way to break Zoker out of this position. Vision acquired, and Coolcoms delivers. Zomblers win another round. In this one, there's no bomb plant. That conversation, it's over. InControl have got to save. They've got to give this an eco. And a big start for Zoker. I'm really glad that Paladin mentioned that on the desk, because, yeah, I didn't get to touch on it, but Zoker is a guy that I really do think doesn't need an op to be effective, despite being an opper, and a pretty good one at that. So, you know, him being a capable rifle on this team is already being shown.
Yeah, I like also the fact that he can just slot in. That's a sharp shot from Tyra onto Cajun. Maybe we'll come back to this conversation in a minute, because it feels like the B-pop is imminent. Good news is that Zoka will find Tyra and get that trade. And now Fire will get support again of Zoka. They're now just dancing around this pillar. Bomb stuck in towards the apartments. Maybe there's going to be a bit of relief here as JS Feltner looks to accelerate on the site, and he gets rid of Poseidon. Tech 9 out for Zoka. Coolcoms then chimes in with another. It should be fine. It should be okay for Zomblers. But every single round is feeling increasingly more scary.
Yeah, I was gritting my teeth the entire round, just feeling like it was on the edge of my seat, because it really was. That looked like it probably should have gone worse. I don't know how Fire and Zoker both survived for so long. Eventually Fire goes down, but I just gotta again give credit to Zoker for doing a good job at making sure he can stay a threat whilst being alive. You know, it's so difficult when he was so committed there, but he does get away with it. But as you were saying, listen, that's big damage done. InControl keeping that damage number relatively high, even if they don't get the bomb down. Look at Scorchy and AWP. I'll go back to looking towards mid, though they're not going to take the first timing.
Oh, unlucky Zoka. I mean, you somewhat cover in case they come in underpass, but you just get a little bit frantic because players are peeking you and you aren't quite prepared. Cajun, I think, is going to drop a nade into underpass, and JS Feltner, also give him his full government. Justin is actually surviving. Zoka now to be tested. The walls maybe were closing in there in towards short. Did he spot Tyra going in connect? I think he might have. Just on the basis that his crosshair hasn't moved from that right-hand side. I think Poseidon could be looking over in a moment, and yes, they're scoped on it. I'm pretty sure they know that Tyra's here.
But they don't get the confirmation, or at least on the kill, excuse me. That's a little bit wild. I think Tyra just thinking that was some random spam, and it was not. Luke are well aware, positioned well for the B hit. It's ongoing. Flash comes through. Fire unaffected. Looks for a second shot. Now Zoker doesn't have to swing. Can take Fire as the next contact. It's Cajun who delivers another kill. Now with Fire down, the B site still easily in hands of Zomblers. And the irony is that the first gun round there is the one that looks the best, the most confident here for Zomblers.
Yeah, you're bang on. And it's just players not being aware of positions that they find themselves in. Case in point, Tyra just not ready for someone to be in short. Also, but where's the short support? Where's the mid control from InControl? There isn't any. They're now back to Tech 9s. Ayanu's got an MP7. It's unorthodox, but it's an A hit. And it's one in which JS Feltner has already been tagged by the HE. There's 3 players here for Zomblers. I don't want to call it early, but this feels like a 6th round already.
Yeah, at least Zoker's not over there. He's been playing insane. Poseidon, though, does deliver in the first opening kill department. JS Feltner goes down. Cool comms. He's ready and waiting to get involved, but Cajun not really giving him that opportunity. Finally, Anu comes out of the Palace side, and Tyra, 2 things with the pistol. It's going to feel good at the end, but it's really just making up for lost time. That round was already done. It was just a matter of a bit more damage.
I'll go back to the Zoka conversation real quick.
Yeah.
The only direct comparison I have in EU is that Waro2K is standing in for Ill Will at the moment, and he's just sole rifling. He's letting 7-kick AWP, which I think is wild, because 7-kick was always a rifler before he came an AWPer. But hey, that's an example of your core wanting to be the sniper, so your stand-in who is a sniper has to rifle, and for Zoka, it has not affected him one bit. He's been brilliant.
Fight, actually full collapse, excuse me, towards middle. Cajun sees another one, escape made. JS Feltner, they'll make the getaway, but rest of InControl looking to hit onto this A site. Yeah, shouldn't be alive, much less with 95 health. Thankfully, Poseidon has his back. Coverage confirmed. Thankfully, Tyra not inside that smoke or even close.
Don't swing. You got the bomb. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, well, that's the bomb drop. That's Coolcom's getting the kill, and that is everyone just collapsing onto InControl. You said these guys won the ECL Cup?
They did. Granted, there was some missing pieces, you know? There was some... We didn't have a couple of teams. Like, there wasn't a Marsborn, no Wildcard, no M80, but that's been true the entire season. Lag had to forfeit their first game. Regain was bad. There was a lot of things happening at the same time, but they did indeed win.
I see. I'm hoping to get a little bit more out of them towards the end of this first half then.
Yeah, you and me both. I think there's two things happening here at once, though, that are making things really difficult for InControl. First and foremost, I typically rate Tyra, pretty decently. Nothing crazy, but decent enough as an in-game leader. I really feel like this has been so one-dimensional thus far. I mean, it's been let's start trying to get mid control with not a lot of vision on the back half of that plan, or even worse, it's been exec. We lost a guy mid. We lost our extremity player. Let's just exec something else at a minute 20 or so. I mean, I guess this does change things. 2 opening picks out in mid.
Wow,
and you grabs the A player, and nothing has changed. My point is exactly the same, but this time InControl win via shooting a bit better.
I'll actually argue that this is the first round outside of ecos that's actually been in-game led. And I know that sounds horrible, but look at the difference we get in this round for InControl. You've got all the mid control. You've got really good trade spacing. You've got a Lurk that is over towards A doing his own thing. Cool, that's fine. You're going to get that. But you've got very good trade spacing. You've got a clear identity of what you want to do in this round. And it is take mid, try and take the fight in towards short. That's exactly what happens. Poseidon presents himself. He's just completely exposed. That's an easy kill in towards mid. Short player steps in. There's players watching. There's players concerned because they've got the early stage of the round already mapped out, and this is definitely the most complete round I've seen so far out of InControl. Ironically, this is the round they've looked the most in control, and it's the round that they pick up. But yeah, I would say that this is the one that's been fought out the most so far in this first half. Nice kill from Fire. He's trying to delay the inevitable of his teammates falling. The good news is that Zomblers have got so much money because they won 7 rounds in a row that they should be completely fine for the next few. Although, actually, Cajun and Poseidon and Cool Comms are actually a little bit low on the money, but it should be fine. Fire and Zoka will be able to drop next.
Yeah, InControl, at minimum, have kept Zomblers somewhat honest about their economy. Also, some big mistakes happening there from Zomblers, just like the positioning one there from Poseidon in underpass, or him to be an underpass, you would only imagine. So, some of that helping out InControl. Speaking of Poseidon, it's a nice shot. Ira, no flash to the corner, no nothing. Cool Comms just play around the smoke. He doesn't get moved, even despite all of that utility coming flying. That's
what are you doing?
Ambitious. I mean, he has a flash, and Cool Comms presumably is meant to be swinging with him, but I just don't love it.
No, you and me both. Smoke's established here for InControl as I try and boost up it in towards the window. Poseidon holding, really good reposition out of the sniper. 50 seconds left. It looks like the bomb's going to make its way back in towards B. And that means you've got Fire on an island here because he's covering short. He's also got to cover B apartments. JS Feltner's going to be this late lurk, and Poseidon's looking at the short cross, but he's got to be careful about what is right next to him. Because low HP, he can't really capitalize on this AWP. Oh, never mind. That's fine.
It's a nice
still
collapse.
Needs help.
Yeah, and that help, it's kind of going to arrive on time. Smoke not to be in his face. He can jump on out. Fire needs to survive for now. How does Poseidon go down there? Where even was he swinging from? Time becomes a little bit of an issue. Cool Comms still living, and a bunch of spam coming from E-Box. Alive is Zoker, a 1v1. Scorchy up for the clutch and for the quad. Doesn't necessarily know that Zoker is low. Keeps the AWP front and center. Zoker repositioned beautifully. 4 seconds. Not a lot of time. And now makes the audio cue. Zoker's low HP is plenty to get them the win. Oh, a little bit of a scary moment as Scorchy just doesn't feel confident.
No, he doesn't. I mean, he's got the bomb plant pressure as well. The timing just to elude Scorchy as well as he gets towards the back site, and that's when Zoka repositions around the back. Poseidon died because he just jumped through the window smoke. He didn't actually land in the window, so he jumps through the window smoke. He peeks on the right hand side. Scorchy's holding. So it's good coverage from Scorchy initially, but I mean, Zoka is undeniable in this first half. Poseidon has a chance for a ridiculous flick and a no scope. It doesn't connect, and now there's even faster pacing being taken in towards mid. Tyra will finally find his mark in towards connector, and Poseidon follows through. When he sees his opponents, he can maybe get rid of them. Cool Comms is now under a lot of pressure because there's a split from Con, there's a split in from Rampant. Oh, it still might be fine because Zomblers are rotating in from Connector in this 2v2, and Aether is 1 HP.
Joker has a nade. Look at that. Oh, but fire. It's taken down. Nade's not going to go towards Aether. Instead, it's a molly. That's going to swing him wide. 1 health, not enough. Reposition, at least being thought about by Anu, but he instead just sits and waits for him. Get available. And another smoke, actually, that Zoker has can really confuse this whole thing. Still hasn't tapped the bomb. Just taking a lot of time to pull this back. Now just has to stick it. A little bit crazy. The spin and finally does connect. Oh, man. Takes a lot of time to actually close distance, put the smoke on the bomb, or even put pressure on Anu.
Yeah. That's, for all of Zoker's good work in this map, that was a moment of weakness. All he needs to do there, I mean, he does such a good job in actually putting that molly forward in towards default, getting the opening kill, isolating the fight, making it a 1v1. All he needs to do there is just smoke the bomb, tap the bomb, force the guy into the open, and just take the fight. Instead, I'm not really too sure what he gets up to. Tyra's been spammed. Is there going to be a collection of a kill? There is. Cajun will lock in the first, and that's an upgrade to his FAMAS. Cool Comms with a 5-7 has also got rid of Anu. 4v3. And the bomb hasn't been planted, but at least the bomb site's been taken.
Poseidon's still here, still around, and that's a dink through the smoke. Flash comes in a little too late, and at least they'll trade. The bomb plant eventually does arrive. Wait a second. Aether, big frag. Some more even scenario. Zoker, oh, it's ugly there from Scorchy. And Zoker, who is up to 18 kills, who does get the double in this round, maybe making up for a little bit of those mistakes in the post plant last time.
Yeah, to be fair to him, he is 18-2, so we can't be that harsh on him. I feel like that's a bit unfair to be like, oh my god, Zoker, you lost that previous round, and that was, to be fair, that was me saying that. But he is 18-2. He does get the double kill in this one. Sorry, Scorchy, we were watching that from your POV, mate. And probably less said about it, the better. Double digits on the horizon, potentially, for Zomblers, as Tyra's only got a Tech 9. And we haven't seen Scorch on an AWP in a hot minute.
I think it might have been round 4 that he had one. I don't know that he's had one since. The A hit. That's the plan for InControl. At least at the start, it's gone relatively well. Nice find for Cajun. Cool Comms is also in this smoke, and they won't necessarily know about that. JS felt in their Cool Comms rubbing up against one another, not fully aware of each other's existence at the moment. Clearly concerned for Cool Comms to get the one good enough. Flank formulating. JS Feltner delivers the double and makes this more winnable for InControl.
Good HP. That's your danger, though. These players are so low. Yeah, Fire and Poseidon just able to find. It's actually the lurk that gets removed, but now you have exact info on when Scorchy is. They can just swing together. They nearly line up, but Poseidon will lock in the headshot, and Zomblers will get double digits on their opponent's map pick in this first half.
Yeah, this is impressive. And when you're talking about Mirage as a map, listen, Zomblers play it, but they really do struggle to find any sort of consistency on this map. I guess I actually just clicked on it. Their recent form tells you a different story. They beat Regain twice and Fisher College. They dominate. They blew Fisher College away, and that's a good Mirage team. So their last 3 maps make it look a little bit better, but outside of that, it's been a rough type of performance from Mirage consistently. And maybe Zoker is the difference, man. I mean, he is in this game, but like in general.
I think it's Fire coming back for a 3rd time.
You're right. That is probably it.
He says with no prior knowledge on anything to do with North America.
Okay, wait, hold on. I need to clarify because people may get the feeling that I'm a Fire hater or something, because that's not true. Hold on, I'll have to come back to this point. Zomblers up Cat. Tyra, nice find. And Cool Comms will just barely get around the corner. JS Feltner was already walking wounded. Now he's dead. Aether as the last man standing. There's still an A-lurk in this as well.
Oh, wow.
Cajun is still towards the A site. A little bit wild, to be honest with you. He's got to get moving fast.
Why is he there? That's just such a waste of a position, because suddenly it's now I was gonna say advantage position for InControl, and I guess technically it still is. Fire's now waiting, and you're thinking, if you're Scorchy and Anu, well, why is he waiting? Like, what is he waiting for? Well, it's probably going to be a flank. There goes Cajun. Anu now repositions. Oh, but misses the opportunity. It might still be fine anyway here for Zomblers, despite Cajun being on the flank, and Anu completely forgets that Cajun exists, and he just jumps out the market window, puts his head in the guillotine, and Zomblers, no matter what they do, they're going to win the round.
This is certainly a round of all time. They played some Counter-Strike in that one.
I'm looking forward to the Paladin breakdown.
Yeah. If we could get a quick breakdown on round 13 there, Ani, that would be great. Because I'll tell you this, it worked out, but it probably shouldn't have worked out nearly that nicely. Cajun hoping that he could have had a little bit of an opportunity. His timing was not ideal. And it puts InControl, if they weren't in a bad spot, well, they certainly are now. They'll force buy, and they'll probably just keep that up until they either win or the map's over.
Yeah, basically. Unfortunately, that is the only option right now. Looks like it's going to be a pretty standard B commitment. This is nice for Zomblers, because if you're Alor, you need to get JS Feltner over here immediately. He's still paranoid about mid because they just don't have any mid control. Flashbangs out, Alor full blind, but good news is the UMP is here. Trade immediate out of cool comms. Can JS Feltner just stay alive on the site? He can, but all his teammates are falling in the meanwhile. Zoka will then claim him. Cool comms gets rid of Tyra, and that is going to be 12 rounds to 2 unless ANU can do the unthinkable, and it's not going to be the unthinkable. I doubt. I think Cool Comms are going to grab this kill. He doesn't. ANU will not get out alive. It will be Zoka finding his 20th kill. He's got a 5 KD, and InControl are in a tailspin, and they're about to crash land on Inferno, which is Zombler's pick. And as you said, they're quite good on that map, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm a little bit out of sorts with the performance here from InControl. A lot of it you do have to hand it to Zoker. His dominant performance is making this look and be easier than what otherwise would have been, but sheesh. Double nade towards Stairs. Cajun not going to get out of that. A lot of damage done to Zoker as well, so this may not quite be over yet. Work. Never mind. Perfect.
Yeah, you're right though. It might not be over, but it certainly feels like it could be. It looks like Scorchy is going to get boosted, and I think Zoka. I don't think Zoka will spot it, but I think the boost is probably going to be a little bit irrelevant. It actually hinges more on this A-Law con play, but take a look at Cool Comms. He's going all the way around the world. Fire not exposed. Scorchy actually looks back, but it's too late. Cool Comms will find the kill. And Cool Comms will get a second, and this surely is all said and done now. A-Law can't follow through, and Zomblers will win dominantly on their opponent's map pick.
Yeah, I don't really think InControl had much to say about that. There's a lot of talk that we had, especially with regard to some of the calling. I think that their mindset, the way they were approaching fights, it seemed like they were a little bit lost at times, but I don't want to put it all on that. I think Zoker and his open performance made life just so easy for Zomblers. When that's happening on your CT side, there's not much that a T side can do unless they're really getting the most out of all their pieces.
Yeah, I really don't think that there's a whole lot to break down, but thankfully I'm not the man for the job. Paladin is, so I'm going to throw it to him, and he can give us a little chat about what just happened there, because Zomblers ran away with it, didn't they, mate?
Yeah, Zoker certainly did. Ends with, what, 20 kills in one game or in one map of Counter-Strike. Only dies 4 times, drops around $140. Like, that's basically everything you could ask for in your stand-in. And, I mean, I'm not going to say that Zomblers didn't play great, because they certainly did, but there was definitely a lot to be desired in terms of how InControl wanted to approach that Mirage T side. And I think Vincent hit a lot of the key points in the fact that it was very telegraphed. I think that the mid control did not look as good as you wanted it to look. I mean, they start off with having to play up against a CT side that blitzed them from Cap, from Con, from Window, and they couldn't really deal with that in a lot of situations. And after that, they take it a lot slower than you would expect from them under normal circumstances. And that doesn't necessarily work out, because when they take that much time, you start to see cracks in the armor where players are trying to go solo up Con to wrap in a jungle. The Cat player isn't really being pressured whatsoever, so he can fight basically at any point in time, get a lot of information before going down. A lot of valuable pieces of the map were retained by the CTs for basically the entire map, and they were never contested whatsoever. And then, of course, they fall back into the classic plan of, okay, we'll just A execute. Well, A executions can only work so far, and unfortunately for them, it felt like Zomblers also had just great protocols and no adaptations for InControl to add, maybe a wrinkle in terms of a con lurk or maybe a late mid flank. There's nothing of that in the back of their minds, so they can take CT control very slowly and they'll be fine with no punishment. They can take top con control without having to look behind them at any point, and that just isolates a lot of players on the site itself. And because these execs are being called out of spawn, there's a lot of utility being left over, so you're cordoning off angles with smokes. You weren't even being allowed to play out 3v3s, 2-on-2s to let your individual shine, which that doesn't even paint a pretty picture in that sense as well for InControl, right? You talk about Ainu, a guy that is pretty huge in terms of the extremities of the B side, was pretty much locked down. Alor, another guy that could give you a lot of multis on the CT side, wasn't even able to have a proper gun to really defend that with. And then even on the T side, wasn't able to really crack things open on that A side either. So basically every win condition falls through for InControl in every regard, be it the calls in terms of how they wanted to approach the T side, be it the individuals in terms of your extremity players, and then even that last X factor of Scorchy. You had a couple of moments from him, but not really to be the case. And on the other side of the equation, for Zomblers, you can already see that the chemistry is very much there, right? They have that blitz mid play, which is it's very nice to watch. But then when they pull back away, they know what's open. They know that Con could be lurked up upon. They have that Cat player watching in tandem. The window player is never uncomfortable. Poseidon had some really impactful AWP kills. Not the craziest map from him. He drops 60 dart in total, 13 kills in total, and it's not going to blow you away. But I do feel like every single one of those kills had some level of impact to pull together and allow for the rifle corps to feel a little bit more comfortable in terms of those anchors to produce as well. So yeah, top to bottom, very, very solid performance from Zomblers. It's not going to be, I'm not going to say that they had like the best Mirage you've ever seen. There was a lot handed to them in terms of these mid-round situations, but having to not really deal with any sort of clutch scenarios makes your life a lot easier as a CT. And it makes, again, the favorite side that much easier on a map like Mirage. So now we move into Inferno. We already kind of painted the picture with the fact that Zomblers have a very stoic approach to this Inferno. I mean, it always has been a whole map for them. I have seen a lot of good stuff from them before. And I mean, they haven't necessarily had great results against Regain previously, which I would say that they're probably one of the better Inferno teams that we have at this level of North America. So I'm not going to write that against them. A loss against Fisher College. So a lot of the losses that they had are against teams that I would expect them to lose against anyways. And they're defeating the teams that I expect them to beat as well. So I think they're right where they need to be in this kind of situation. And for InControl, if you don't have players like Alor, players like Ainu to wake up in this situation, and I think Scorchy more than ever, actually, just because of how necessary you need that AWP floating between the bomb sites. I'm talking that arch control. I'm talking the rotation over to CT spawn and to B. If you don't have these three guys online, it's going to be really difficult. You need at least one of them to keep it competitive. You need two of them to potentially sway the map in your control, and you need three to really take it to Zomblers, especially considering how on this team is right now. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, but when we come back, I believe we might discuss with the panel a little bit before we jump into that map number 2 for our last quarterfinal. And we're back to a surprisingly non-competitive start to this series between Zomblers and InControl. We dictated a narrative saying that this would be the most competitive quarterfinal, even if all of the quarterfinals were actually played out. And Brandon, it feels like we lied to you after that pre-show.
I don't know. I mean, this is still the most competitive quarterfinal so far because these two teams have played. So, yeah. I mean, we got a game. I mean, InControl, I mean, anything but. I don't know what to say apart from... Yeah, you guys kind of hype this up a little bit. I know Poseidon and I know Cool Comms. You know, they're my boys. They're not really. I've seen them a few times on Tsunami, but they were really impressive. I don't know. InControl, they just sucked. Like, is that what they're like normally, or are they going to be better on Inferno? Like, please tell me they're going to be better on Inferno. It's a quarterfinal, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'd hope so. You know, I think that still the fact of the matter is they didn't really have room to ever get started for some of these extremity players, because Tyra really did just want to call splits a lot of the time. So you're going in packs. You're not giving room to your stars to really shine. You're hoping that the machine outweighs the individual parts. And on Inferno, I don't think you can necessarily do that as effectively. At least you're not going to be able to amass T rounds that way. That it is a lot more onus, I feel like, Vincent, on Aenu and on Alor to really like open up the map a little bit more.
I think it is. I mean, I also gotta say, like, at least they will be starting CT side, or at least I assume they will. You know, I think that really does help, because I'm with you. Listen, I said, and I stand by this, that I don't really want to lay this all at Tyra's feet, but I do think the calling that was there wasn't nearly up to the standard he can put up, and it wasn't nearly what it needed to be to enable his pieces, kind of like we're all talking about. So, you know, there's that I think InControl likely to look better, even though that's not a high bar, than they were on Mirage.
I think there's always this trouble that you have with these newer IGLs where they do really well in terms of, you know, winning rounds in a row, but can they do it from behind is the real question. But Inferno is live, folks. We're going to hop into the action very shortly, so stick around for some Brandon and Vincent good old casting.
Thank you very much. Yeah, look, Mirage came and went, and now we're on Inferno. And I think for InControl, they just have to forget that Mirage ever existed. At least they're on the CT side now, as you guys have been saying. There's a lot of utility here for this T side. Are we just going to smash it into B? That's what it feels like. Instant CT smoke, instant coffin smoke, double nades to maybe affect Aenu. Well, he can't see anything now, so the player on site is stuck.
As Feltner's got to be able to deliver, won't get anything. Spam continues to come flying, but it's not going to do much of anything as Cajun pushes deeper. Cajun could be on for 3. Everybody missing it. The ugliest thing ever. It's the Glock that bursts away for Cajun's third. No is exactly my thoughts, but thankfully Zomblers still win.
Jesus Christ. Bro.
It's one of those days for ANU, and that doesn't bode well.
And I quote Paladin, our analyst, ANU's got to be the guy to step up. Poor Paladin. That's not even his fault.
The problem for Paladin is that he's right.
I know he's right. And Blood just missed on a guy that was standing still and reloading. Cool Comms has been knifed in the back, and you know what? It's probably not even going to matter.
Did he get knifed twice?
Yeah, no, he got knifed once, I think.
Oh, well, it's good that Cool Comms got to play this round. Really happy for him. Zomblers will be kicking themselves that they've allowed that to happen. Shout out to one of my favorite nades in the game. That one Cajun just threw for going on CT.
That's my favorite nade too.
Wait, really? Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. And
all right,
elevated.
come on then.
At least something.
Look at the rotate. Wait, they're just rotating instantly and then they stopped. Okay, nice. All right, Ayanu's combed this pretty well. And Zoka, Poseidon are quite low. Aelor just tucks into the corner. This feels really nice for Aelor. Is he going to push? I think he might. And he'll have a really good time in. Firing towards default has been spotted. I think Scorchy is definitely known. I like this flashbang network. And yep, Scorchy known. Dealt with by Poseidon. Aelor's timing feels good, although Fire has just seen him. And now Poseidon can maybe just get on the angle as well. He's got 3 kills in the round. In fact, everyone is just looking at this angle, but no one's looking at Anu, who just walked through the Moto smoke. Low HP for both Fire and Anu. And I like that Anu is just trying to take the fight. It's the Mac 10 just worming and wriggling his way around, and he's able to take the wide swing on his terms. Anu cannot clutch, and Zomblers will go 2-0 up.
That's wonderful from Fire. I mean, Anu deserves a lot of credit for the way in which he got back into that round. I'm a little bit concerned at why Zomblers forgot there was a second guy alive and put all of their eyes, attention, and resources towards dealing with Aether on the porch flank, but all good because Fire handled it beautifully. Regardless, that is a round that becomes a little bit more expensive. Thankfully, InControl. Not going to get into that same pattern that they got into at the start of Mirage, where they began going in for these force buys. This will just be a save. Very nice nades to make life miserable for ANU. 7 health. Tyra doesn't walk away unfazed either.
I mean, Cage is just going to go surely off this flashbang. Oh, just kidding. There's just no flashbang. But he's here, and he's able to get rid of ANU. And get the follow-up with the last bullet of the magazine onto JS Feltner. That's the bomb planted. That's the round over. See you later. I'm not even sure that Scorchy can grab a kill. He's been naded and dealt with by Fire. He's aware of everything. 3-0. Everyone stays alive here for Zomblers. That puts their money in control.
Yeah, it hasn't necessarily been much that InControl can do just yet. It's a little bit concerning that, you know, Fire's having a good start, and I know that statistically that's there for Cajun as well, but we also watched that whiff, so I'm gonna just hold back on discussing his performance currently.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, the Scorchy AWP, this was something that Paladin talked about. Very important for this GT side, his ability to pivot between sites to be a threat on both sides.
Big kill. All right. And this is now going to be the rush. Got to be careful about the short player as well. Aelor steps in. Cajun will trade. And you know that you've done a lot of damage on towards Tyra. But I like the heads-up play. Oh, I was going to say from InControl, that nade is going to do a lot of damage onto Anu. And now everything screeches down to a grinding halt. Remember, Tyra is incredibly low. Anu just walks through the library smoke for some reason and dies. And I've got to say again, Tyra is low. Surely gets cleared because Cajun, you got that free kill on library. You have to clear Cold Zero Box. You've got to clear Cold Zero Box. Please clear Cold Zero Box. Thank you very much. And he will. And that should be round over in this 3v2. Despite Cajun's low HP, you got no control on this bomb site whatsoever. This should be a save, boys, especially because you just brought the Scorchy AWP into the fight.
Yep, gotta be. And I guess I'll say it now. I mean, that is increasingly impressive from Cajun. This is a legitimately strong round from him individually. And sure, you know, the first kill's a trade, but the fight, he's got the angle from Apps, I think, onto Anu making that push. And whilst it's a little bit of a ridiculously aggressive push from Anu, it's good for Cajun to catch that. He locks down with the low HP Tyra on Cold, and that round over, as you had mentioned, he'll go down with the ship, but thankful for the victory nonetheless. Gas Feltner keeps a kit of utility at least. I'll be able to drop over 1. The AWP as well can drop a little bit more. This is shaped up to be a pretty decent buy.
Need to get the Zorp involved. Like they did a really good job here as Zomblers, I think, recognizing, especially in this first gun round, that the AWP is probably going to be there. So they go for a fast play. They get the damage done onto Tyra. They just go. They're looking to maybe do it again. Yeah. And this time with a much better success story because they're out long. They're around the world. Tyra is stepping in library and surely is spotted and noted, but Scorchy finds a really important double. There's just no utility whatsoever, but JS Fountain gives Poseidon a kill, and that also gives Poseidon a way into this round. Now he needs to be the only one in this round that can do anything, and I don't think it's happening.
And he's back. He had pushed down all the way in lower mid by that point, but thought for a second Poseidon might get across and you wouldn't see him, but that is not the case. I really don't know why Zomblers just decided not to throw any utility at all whatsoever for Moto. Surely if you walk all the way up Arch, hear the player rotating into library, there's some body on A, and they just don't have a flash. They don't have anything at all. They don't waste any time. That is a very weird moment for Zomblers, and it is the reason they lose the round.
I thought they'd go Arch. I thought they'd go mid. I thought they'd go long to B, but maybe it doesn't matter. It feels like a rush of blood to the head. It feels like complacency because of how good Mirage has been. We actually saw that on a round of Mirage where they just started fighting everyone. You got to be careful. Coolcoms will find a kill with the HE onto ANU, but Tyra is there for the immediate trade. Timing good, out of fire to deal with the aggressive lurk from A-Law. So player advantage still with Zomblers for now. And that A doesn't do as much damage as I think InControl would hope it would.
Yeah, I'm still not necessarily loving the way that Zomblers approached this. Like, Coolcom's taking a fight, and it seemed as if there wasn't really a need for it. Thankfully, as you were mentioning, Fire catching Healer on the lurk will keep this a man advantage. Smoke refresh for InControl. Zomblers all still towards B, and it is all up to JS Feltner.
Oh, this angle is just not good either. Smoke's going to fade, he's just going to be seen, and he's just caught. I'm not really too sure what the decision-making is there from JS Feltner. Not really too sure he even knows. Smoke goes up into CT, Zomblers get away with one. I completely agree with you though. I feel like they are being given just rounds, and I agree with what Paladin was saying. It felt like they didn't really need to go through the motions. It didn't really feel like they needed to engage in a higher plane of thinking. So far this series has just been brain off. We'll just try and take fights and we'll see what works, and for the majority of rounds it has worked. Nice shot, to be fair, from Scorchy. The issue is it's a cosmetic kill, and he might even be allowed to save this sniper. Good news is that Fire is so far away that he will, but Zomblers are running away with their map pick, and therefore the series.
I'll give credit as well, though, a little bit to Zomblers. I think that their experience as a unit and the way in which they have been able to fall back on some basics and, set up together, even if it has been a little bit brain off at times, had still shown through, just far less so on Inferno. But there is a world, and I don't think we're very far away from it, where if InControl can just get 30% more output, those brain off moments are going to become a real problem for Zomblers.
Yes, agreed. Agreed. I'm just concerned that it's already 5 rounds on this T side. You can break the economy if you just get one more of these here. Then suddenly you're looking at 7. This can escalate out of control. I agree with you. I really do feel like there is a way back into this. It all starts maybe with this double push. Tyra, Aelor having a look, and Zoka just on the off angle. Aelor really needs this trade and will get it. And there's 3 players now grouped on this A bomb site. Zomblers, they go into B. They've got a really good time in.
Bomb's still left at T stairs, so even if they were to go in now, that is still potentially a threat. Aelor, so lucky to be living. Felt as if Fire had him dead to rights, and now the bomb to be recollected. Coolcom's got to pick that up. Flash comes flying, but it isn't effective against Anu. I think we're about to find one of those rounds here, Brandon. We were just highlighting. InControl, 4-on-2. It's an easy cleanup for ANU. The guy that needed to step up has stepped up big.
Yes, absolutely needed that. I'm right there with you as well. I'm surprised that Alor was able to live for as long as he did. It is nice to see that Alor and ANU are able to find these frags. And so I got the money for InControl. It actually goes both ways because look, Cajun Fire just on P250s and Tech 9s. Poseidon was on a scout, now sold it to grab a Galil. Money on the brink, and I'll tell you what, if you lose this round, if you're Zomblers, shoes on the other foot, because it will be a one-round game. And as you say, these mistakes that they have been making, these potential lapses in judgment, are now a more distinct reality than I think they were prepared for.
This is so gambly from InControl, and I haven't mentioned it before, but it is constant gambles. And now forward towards A, spotted one player underpass, and that's what's going to be the cause of this rotation. I think there was one flash over towards B as well. Be a juicy one. Ooh, not quite. Smokes go flying out for what's going to end up being the B hit. Well, this counter utility, not preemptive, but finally when it does go down, already got the bad backstab.
Is there a way out in this round? Is there a chance maybe for Fire to find anything? Scorchy should be locking it in, and he is. I mean, AWP versus P250 should always be one winner there. Alor, it is now baited in perfectly. Poseidon is considering this long angle. It all comes down to timing of when he turns his head, and it might not matter. Full comms thrown into the clutch. Should be a shot for Scorchy. It's a tag through the wall, and let's be honest, that is good enough, especially with 10 seconds left. Scorchy will just try it and live. He's gonna lock it in with the USP. InControl, they do it. They also get the AK maybe scooped up, not quite, but that's your money gone, and that's a way back into this series.
And that's not overselling it either. You know, this is just about that next step. Now, granted, Zomblers with 5 rounds at the start of this map, I won't say they've already done enough on this T side, because I don't know that that's really the case anymore in any way. But I feel like they have given themselves plenty of runway.
Oh, no, not like this. He got dinked. No, you can't get dinks like that. I'm worried now because they're going to get paranoid about B because the dinks come in. And so Alor and Scorchy are going to be under pressure, especially if Alor, no flash, but that means pure contact. And that means that Scorchy won't be ready for this. And that means that he could potentially just die. Alor has got to get on the line, and he doesn't. Poseidon is now spiraling up, and he can plant the bomb. 2v3. Look at the HP bar. Scorchy, JS Feltner, they got 10 HP between them.
But no gun has been recollected either. Poseidon really trying to get across to find that. Finally do so. Tyra, nicely done, I thought. Poseidon just gets wall banged. That's ridiculous. And Fire takes in the molly. HP low for a couple, but he doesn't get to fight either of those low HP members. Thankfully, InControl will stop the bleed, but for Zomblers to get a bomb plant, they're doing great.
For Zomblers to get a bomb plant, and I thought they were winning the round, they're doing great. That contact play with no flashbang actually comes back to nearly Horn InControl. Fortunately enough, is a P250 was the one taking the contact, so you've got the spin around for Scorchy. He was having a much better Inferno, it must be said. Worried about the potential usefulness of him on this second half. Opening on that T side of Inferno is going to be difficult for him. Yeah, it's been a good showing so far. But InControl, Zomblers have now got as many pieces as possible when it comes to the weaponry and the utility. But I like this. We're now getting proactive. We're now seeing variety here from InControl. Look at this double pushing second mid. They've been burned by this before, and Fire is looking to punish them again.
Might be going both ways with, you know, Fire been not overly aggressive, but has been willing to mix it up. The good move in the right direction. pressure beginning to mount. Not as if InControl have ever lost vision on what's occurring here. Plenty of utility. That reload does give a lot away for ANU. This continues to be a commitment.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
That reload basically opens the door, Zomblers.
Yeah, massively. He just gives away the biggest audio comm and just gives them the round. Did Tyra get hurt there, by the way, because that incendiary hit his head? I'm not sure, but Cool Comms will check the smoke anyway, Scorchy. Why, yeah, that's not the way to peek that one. Gave you a lot of praise, and unfortunately, just brazenly peeks into the angle in which his teammate has just fallen into. That's a free AWP for Poseidon. That's a good round for Zomblers.
How many opening duel victories do you think Cajun has on Banana or towards B? Because I think it's probably 7.
In this game?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that many. Maybe like 3 or 4. I wouldn't say 7.
At minimum, it's pistol round, last round, tech 9 round.
I'll go 4.
Just as I was handing out praise, Cajun goes through the smoke.
Hey, that happens.
I do like that InControl. This time, they have been so passive on Banana.
Yeah.
You know, they've thrown some utility, occasionally some utility change-ups where they're putting a little bit more pressure on it with it, but in general, they haven't had any people there, and no bodies behind that. And so I think that's a nice change-up. Cajun clearly had no respect at all for any of what they were throwing.
Yeah, no, it's a good point to make, and it's a good adjustment here for InControl. I'm just concerned about the HP. Like for the 2B defenders, you've got 1 on half, 1 on 10, and that doesn't feel great. And especially when Zomblers have made no noise. ANU though doesn't die. JS Feltner's holding a flashbang, but Cool Comms is just going to walk and actually is not detected. This flashbang moves forward. They've got no idea that Cool Comms is in the back line, and I actually think that Scorchy throwing this utility is going to be undone, and he is. Cool Comms finds the frag. ANU still being annoying. Do they know about JS Feltner? I think they might in a moment. They're spamming the issue. Tyra's now rotated in at Banana. It's all a little bit of a mess, and JS Feltner goes undetected. 10 HP or not, he's still going to be fine to find the double. Good rotate from Tyra, but I really thought that Cool Comms was going to win that round for Zomblers.
You and me both, but JS Feltner, I think, really showcasing the reason that he can be such a credible threat on this roster. You know, him just being quiet, not overstepping, making sure to be passive, and I think potentially because he had to on just 10 health, doesn't ever really swing when he doesn't need to in that moment, and just takes all the info in, reacts accordingly. 3 kills total for JS Feltner. Is InControl another round. Potential though for a tied game. I think that'll feel good after 5-0 start. Or 0-5, I guess, in the context of InControl. I can't say that won't be a good half regardless of the outcome of this round for Zomblers.
I think Zomblers are going to be feeling pretty hard done by. I think InControl have really leveled up. Scorchy just doesn't stay on the angle. Doesn't fire the shot. ANU is at least boosted here in CT. Scorchy's just juggling nades. I mean, that's not going to work out brilliantly. ANU needs to find a multi, and he does, to be fair to him. Cajun and Cool Comms hit the deck. Fire now starts pushing the issue on his lurk. What's the move here? For Zomblers, I think it's wait until the fire contact comes in, and maybe you can reset over towards this A-bomb site. Oh, but fire has now been spotted, and him, Alor, and Tyra can go for the fight. I like that reposition out of Tyra. There's that instant trade. There's the follow-through from Zoka, and he's now in the 1v1. Tyra, they know that he's on A, but Zoka's only got 10 HP, and this is a stark contrast from a 20-4 performance on Mirage.
Yeah, position was backing towards Banana. Tyra, smoke. No kick currently, but I was gonna say, I think there's one dropped. Yeah, he's just picked it up. Look for the bomb. Thinking that he's everywhere, but where he is, it's still good enough. That HP difference for Tyra was exactly what he needed. Zoker denied a clutch, and it will be InControl that tie up the score line. 6 apiece. I don't know about you, but even though the Zomblers might feel like they could have gotten more, that is still a very respectable TF.
Maybe. I mean, like, it is when you like take a look at it from a macro point of view. But I think you were up 5-1 in this game. Like, you should be getting more than just the 6th round. But I hear what you're saying. But from my point of view, especially when I saw that Mirage, I really think they should have got more than the 6, especially when they were 5-1 up.
I mean, listen, fair. Hold on. We're just running down mid.
Okay.
Left and right. Poseidon does arrive, traded, and the B player dead as well. That was a fast pistol round. I guess I'll just make my point. What I was gonna say is that at minimum, though, there's 2 or 3 massive differences that I feel like we've really been able to, rely on for InControl, and it goes into something Paladin mentioned as well. Like Elim and JS Feltner both being capable of offering like a multi or 2 important rounds on extremities, and then ANU actually being the star that he's shown himself to be in previous games with InControl.
Yeah, and also I think, you know what, to back up your point a little bit more for Zomblers, I guess they can be happy with 6 rounds because the T sides for both of these teams are like sub 50% win rate. Big flashbang. Cajun will at least trade. Zoka's also found ANU. Scorchy then gets rid of Cajun. That's the bomb site open. 3v3 should be a bomb plant.
They're running. They're sprinting, hoping to arrive in time. Nice second flash. Well, doesn't matter. Poor Scorchy just gets plucked out of the smoke. You hate to see that, or at least you would if you're InControl. Smoke's deployed for either direction. How in the world has JS Feltner survived that? This is difficult for Zomblers now. I mean, they have the kit, but only on fire, and they've got to be careful. There's no flash to break on through. HP is relatively low. Nice work for Zoker. He's going to give up his life just to confirm. Aether dropping down audibly. There's a dink, and that's good for Poseidon. The lack of utility made this more difficult, but Zomblers handled themselves and will get the round off the back of it.
Yeah, I actually think it's actually really unfortunate for that player that was in at dark because he dinks fire. And if he kills fire and he's able just to stay alive a little bit more, for I'm talking like half a second, like Poseidon loses that because the bomb, the kit's drops, and he has to go all the way back into CT to scoop up the kits. It's really close for Elim. That's actually so unlucky that he's not able to win that 1v2 clutch. Gets the dink but doesn't get the kill. It's just Tech 9s now again. The InControl. It's this half buy. And Zomblers just go back, which you imagine to regularly scheduled programming. Coolcoms just runs down Banana. All right, fair. There's not even a smoke for the bottom of Banana. They're just taking the fight. Right, okay, sure. Cajun will not allow Coolcoms the opportunity to even get an ace in this round, but that's okay. Zoka and Cajun will get the kills alongside Coolcoms' triple. And a storm is brewing because Zomblers are up to 9 rounds after they just run down Banana.
Gotta see something pretty good out of this first gun round for InControl, because the pace that Zomblers are setting currently is lightning fast. I don't know that there is a lot to stop them if we don't get it relatively quickly. Nade down mid, that won't be too effective. A couple of bits and pieces of damage. I'm gonna say that's on the B fight. I think that JS Feltner took all that damage. Scorchy puts his eyes on to the swing. Cajun really can't stop himself.
No way he hits that headshot onto JS Feltner. Scorchy will keep going. Poseidon's rotated in, and I don't think you're going to be ready for maybe a player in towards the bomb site, but this doesn't have to be the commitment. Nice adjustment out of Tyra. I think now you will start to put yourself in this B bomb site. Good trade out of Zoka. And Fire hasn't moved. So effectively, this is just Zoka versus the world. Another re-smoke. But with this pick from Fire finding Ayanu, you can definitely go for this retake now. You just got to wait for this A player to get all the way over through CT.
Yes, made the trek. Both have a kit. Fire's got the flash. It's going to lead Zoker in. Smoke should be fading. Actually faded. Oh, what a shot. That's onto the op. Ridiculous for Fire. Now knows where the final member is located. Time of the essence. The swing for Aether. And that is a little bit overzealous. Preemptive even. It's Fire on 1 health with 3 kills that gives Zomblers number 10.
Yeah, that smoke wasn't good enough for either. If he'd have thrown that nade and you could easily move back towards the second oranges, for example. You could have done anything apart from wide swing him there. In fact, I don't even think you needed to swing him at all because that smoke was so bad. He had to deeply invest himself into that bomb site. Zomblers, I think, being offered up a chance to retake when they really shouldn't have been allowed it. Fire does brilliantly. He lives on 1 HP, sure. Got to give him a lot of credit, but InControl. There's been a few rounds in this series where I think they'll look back on it and they'll think, wow, we actually really should have been able to convert some of these, but rush of blood to the head, a boneheaded decision, thinking and feeling the stress. It's come back to cost them quite a lot.
I just also can't get over why Anu is like still.
Oh.
All right,
bye.
Goodbye indeed. Still working on A, given the situation, but. Sort of past that by now. Cool comms out of the round. Thanks to, it's hardly fair to call it random, but randomly right on target. Bam, through the smoke at the bottom of Banana.
Why has Cajun got 4K and no utility on Banana?
We'll just say he threw it all. Be kind.
Okay. I know that's a nice lie, but... Spam. Oh, not good. Awesome shots. Through the smoke in this round. InControl will find a 7th. My notes would be... Cool comms got owned. Cajun has no utility. What do you expect?
My notes are pretty simple. It's smoke spam OP. That is 2 out of 3 kills through the smoke. Granted, Tyra's response pretty nice indeed. Poseidon.
Right.
He might just be in
He's dead.
Trouble. Watch, he's gonna shoot his way out. Bang. Never mind. Didn't know about Anu. Thought he had backup. Did not have backup. Zomblers. First time all half. He'll lose a round. My problem with that for InControl is it's kind of not super replicable.
No, it's not really. But I mean, maybe the designer going towards Banana is a bit more replicable.
Agreed, especially when Cajun's overextending a lot there.
Yeah. And they waited a lot, right? Like, they didn't immediately go into Banana. They waited out the nades, and then they pushed further forward. So that's nice. You got that working for you. Kind of rate this from Zomblers. They just gone and put 4 players early B to drop the incendiaries. So you've got utility if you're both Cajun and Cool Comms. That's a good little change. There you go. Here goes that second wave. The issue is that they're both trying to throw smokes at the same time. They've both thrown the same incendiary as well, so it's not really that effective. And then Cool Comms just swings by himself, and Cajun runs off.
That's before the smoke goes down at the bottom of Banana. A lot of mistimed utility there, and the swing mistimed as well. Cajun, step on through.
Oh,
buddy.
buddy.
It's a commitment to the bit that is a little too deep. Cajun needs to stay alive desperately, but goes for the spam consistently.
Did he see him?
No,
he didn't.
I don't think so.
It's a good angle from Fire. Easy onto Tyra. And Poseidon's found another. There's that lurk caught as well from Zoka. 3v2. I mean, this still can be possible. Oh, who's going to say for InControl? Maybe it still can be. Aelor is thrown into this 1v3. Needs to find the shot and can't get by Poseidon. That is amazing from Poseidon. That flick down and the little pixel on towards the balcony. Enough to push Zomblers further forward in this series.
Classically Poseidon style as well. You know, the willingness to go for a lot of maneuverability, quick, flashy flicks. Love to see him playing with that type of confidence and nailing it in that moment. That's another one of those you were talking about that InControl are going to look back on and really feel like, damn, we probably should have had that. Needed to be grouped and hit the site.
Well, yeah,
anything.
You got JS Feltner in CT at that point. Well, why are we not going back to B? Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels a little bit silly. It almost feels like they have an idea of what they want to do in the round in the moment, and no one has got the foresight to change it in the mid-round. Nobody is actually saying in that mid-round, oh, we can go back. Like, because no one's commenting that, because no one's communicating that, people are just stuck in their ways. That's what it feels like anyway from watching, and I've got no access to their team speak.
Ooh, nice shot. Once again, Cool Comms gets owned through the smoke. He was the one with the rifle. Cajun only has MP9. He's going to keep on moving. Flashes himself through. Zoker's arrival's a little too late, and I think we're probably heading for a save. That is, if Fire can even survive. There is still a lurker about near you.
Can he ninja defuse this, do you reckon? I'm going to go with no.
Don't think he's trying for it.
No, he's not going for it. He's just going for exits and damage because he knows the money is a little bit low. There's a world he can. There is a world he could have maybe gone for that defuse. Instead, he goes for the kill. He misses it on Scorchy. Scorchy's not going to turn around and fight him. Doesn't really need to be enticed as the bomb is about to explode. 5 alive for InControl. That was a really simplistic hit on towards B. It's clear that they've worked out that there's a lot of space here because Cool Comms loves a smoke spam, and he's just being punished round after round after round.
I mean, in fairness to him, like, he wasn't even spamming at that point. He had barely... He was in the corner. So... I feel like at some point it's a little bit unlucky. Zomblers... Last round they had 2 MP9s. This round they have an MP9 and a 5.7, which, I mean, you could argue is better. Pretty good set of utility. Again, InControl making adjustments with regard to not getting exposed on Banana. We saw it back and forth for Zomblers. Last round took an off timing on the nade, nailed it. JS Feltner had 50 health from the start.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing the continuation of these reaction for reaction moments on Banana where InControl are ultra passive, even now down to a minute.
Yeah, I like this. I feel like they're going to take top brackets right now and then reset. I'm surprised that we're throwing the deep smokes out long when we've got no control in top brackets whatsoever, but it has caused a lot of reaction out of Zomblers that they've been dropping their utility. And we will get this re-pivot in towards B. That this feels pretty good right now. Cool Comms is by himself, and yet again, he's got no util because of the money.
Ooh. Not ideal. That's the one piece that's out anywhere else, but again, Cool Comms not going to be able to post up much of anything in defense. The 4A stack for Zomblers doesn't really work all that well when InControl apply pressure onto the B side. ANU handling the Cajun flank, and Zomblers got a one-shot shot to the save.
Yeah, look, I mean, in this round it's just a gamble over towards A because of the smokes, but I really feel like they jumped quite a lot on the utility that was being thrown when InControl didn't throw anything in top brackets whatsoever. But you really need to be anticipating that if you're Zomblers, like, oh, they probably don't have top mid space, because the flashbangs came for top brackets after they dropped the smokes in Archers and Library. We don't need to be dropping those reaction smokes, and they both came on both long and short at the same time. The reaction is exactly what InControl wanted, because it just denies all info for Zomblers. They've got no idea of the true intent of InControl and where they are, because they just don't have the information on top brackets themselves. Like, if you got an alt post there, for example, if Poseidon was at long, holding top brackets, you see those smokes come over, it'd be like, okay, well, the smokes have come over. What are we going to do about it? Not a lot. Like, Tyra's the only one that pushed in towards top brackets.
It is increasingly getting worrying for Zomblers. I'm not hitting the panic button yet. I have it beside me. Safe. Don't worry.
Okay.
But I'm not pressing it. I'm not panicked, but I am concerned. This one's Zomblers with those saved weapons, hoping to create opportunity with a stack over towards the A site. And not to, this is silly reasoning, but
okay,
InControl haven't gone A at all, really. Not since they started winning. But I do find it interesting that Zomblers looking to stack on it.
Cage is just going to push the smoke again in a minute and just die, probably. And then that's going to be round over. Yeah, you're right. They're just doing the same thing every round as well. They're just getting the player out top bracket, so they're just going B. I'm surprised we haven't had more players over on this side of the map. This will be a retake. Cage is going to swing through the CT smoke, try to get a kill with the USP, probably. There we go. Got a dink, to be fair to him. I mean, Zoka, he'll try and spam cool comms. I think he's going to be overwhelmed here by Anu. No, timing is eluding him. But I still don't think they go for it. I think they're just saving again.
I don't know. I don't know if it's reasonable, but I don't know if it's the right call not to want to go for this at all. Considering the fact they've got the money, regardless, it's going to be 10 to 11. They've got kits, but anyway, decision made. Don't want to harp on that for too long. InControl, they made the comeback. I mean, 10-6 was where this started. Zomblers have since won a round. 4 of the last 5 with InControl in their favor, and it has been a unit, a team scenario, just like what Paladin was talking about. That's the way in which InControl wanted to win on Mirage, didn't. But the way they were playing suggested that they could do that. Only now that Zomblers take attack pause. Zomblers actually don't have a coach, haven't had a coach for like quite a while now. It's actually a part of a wider conversation about this Zomblers roster and how Cajun really likes to be in full control of the direction of the team, I feel. That was the reason cited, I think, for Polo and Grape moving on.
Interesting. All right, what do we got? I reckon it's going to be B again, if I had to take a wild guess, because that's been, as you say, working out for them more often than not. It's exactly the same round as what we've seen previously, by the way. Just passive in towards top banana. Surprised we haven't seen a push it towards second mid out of Zomblers. Pushing towards the apartments out of Zomblers. Double apps from the Zomblers. Taking deep space and towards banana from the Zomblers. It has just been, I feel like it's Groundhog Day. And I've just seen the same thing about 8 times.
Well, here's the change up, at least. The op is towards...
Okay.
So there's that.
Yep. Cajun, please don't do this.
Initially had 3B. A nice nade.
Good nade.
As long as Cajun's just here to deploy utility, I'd love to see there be some action behind that utility. Regardless, then all good. Joker having to think about the rotation, but unsure. InControl, perfect time for Tyra to call back the resources over to A. Joker under pressure. Big kill from him. It's only going to be the singular one, though, and the time becomes significantly problematic. Coolcom still very deep into the site. Fire with a great position. Eats the nade. They still just have to get the bomb down. Coolcom's unchecked. Currently unknown. Fire gets another. The bomb dropped temporarily. Scorchy is going to be planting, and he will get it down, but won't get away. Coolcoms goes unseen and will deliver the double. Great work from both A defenders.
Absolutely, like really good work from the A defenders, and it's got to be said though, in this round, like if InControl just drop like any smokes on B, then Zomblers are gonna jump and they're gonna go and you're gonna catch them. You nearly do catch Zoka, to be fair. He just swings and gets a kill. Brilliant from Coolcoms. They just leave it way too late. Fire lives in the pit. I think that's such an influential kill as well. 2 chances to close this series in 2. Look at the nades. Look at the push. There we go. We're getting something a little bit more different out of the Zomblers. They win 1 round now. They feel compelled to have all this confidence, and to be fair to ANU, he was ready for it. Coolcoms has also dinked his teammate, and he is living on a prayer.
The amount of damage done, even before you talk about ANU being dead, is ridiculous. And Zoker, he's got away with it too. Escape made. He's sticking around? Ridiculous. Be honest with you. B-site is the destination, though, for InControl. And at this point, I mean, they don't have a lot of options, even though they have still a minute left. Smoke for CT. Fire close by. Go on in.
Good nades. They get rid of Poseidon. Did you say Cajun here too? The smoke goes up. The nade does a lot of damage onto him. And he can't spam out now. So InControl will make it on towards this site. It's just about whether they can hold on to it, because the rotator's coming in. Alor is on 10 HP. At least Cajun and Coolcoms are low, but there's a full battle utility on Zoka.
That's going to be a smoke, presumably placed to make Scorchy's life miserable. And yeah, perfectly done. Scorchy has to go through it. It's going to get elevated over the top. Cajun comes on in, held by Scorchy. Zoker trades on both the riflers, so it's all up to Scorchy. Fire does get him inside the smoke, and it is close, but he does get the kill and the round. That is Zomblers 2-0 on the victory.
Yeah, it wasn't, I'm not going to say it was the cleanest win from Zomblers in any way, shape, or form, really. In all honesty, I do feel like the way they played that CT side, they should have lost the game. Frankly, because I think they played not to lose every single round. It was like they had 11 rounds and they were like, okay, you know what? We're going to gamble CT setups again and again and again. And eventually, surely one will come into our favor. But even still, when you do gamble like that, the reactions have to be swift. You know, I'm talking clearing out brackets with 40 seconds left on the clock, finding out the answers, and then instantly rotating. It's like they were so lethargic even in that entire sequence. They would kill the lurk, and they would still stick around on the bomb site. And you're not ever setting your B anchor up for success, which is my big issue, is that if you don't set up your B anchor for success by either leaving a belt of util, by having an early rotation coming through down mid or faster through speedway, you're going to more often than not lose those gamble rounds if they don't go to the site. There's still ways you can win the gamble even if they go to the other bomb site, and unfortunately for Zomblers, they didn't have those protocols in place. I know I'm harping on them pretty heavily here, but even though they won, but it does feel like there were a lot of avenues for InControl to come in to this map, and they just weren't able to seize control because frankly you didn't have enough from the individuals to really wake up. I mean, they did eventually. You had a couple of moments from Aenu and from Alor as well, but it just wasn't going to be the case for them when it's happening deep into the map as well. So I think for me, I'm happy that we got competition from InControl in our second map, but it's very clear that Zomblers still also have a lot of work to do in their development as well. They're going to have a whale of a time against M80 later tomorrow, rather. And I think that there are some pieces to be excited about. I mean, getting to watch Soccer play up against M80 will be fun. Getting to see the Poseidon head-to-head against Slacks, of course, will be very fun. But to me, there are clear workings in terms of the protocols that need to change here, Brandon, that I think will only get fixed if they lose pretty badly.
Yeah, look, they just needs to be more versatile with their setups. I think you're right in what you were saying. Like, it just felt like they were doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's almost like, oh, we've won a round now, we've hit 12, now we can push down middle. And hey, look what happens when you change the setup and you take the initiative. They just weren't ready for it because I suppose the condition is we're going to sit back and do nothing. What also annoyed me is you spoke a lot about how the banana player wasn't set up for success. And Cajun's got like one flashbang, one nade, and he's just peeking banana by himself, and he's a sole B player. Like, it makes no sense.
It didn't feel like either him or Coolcom's ever made the right decision, despite the fact that they would have limited utility. So it's like, I mean, both ways you look at it, whatever they had going on in B, it just felt like, screw it, figure it out, Vincent. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Honestly, they had one real strategy, which was what we saw at the beginning of the half, which was just ultra aggressive, like never stop type of Counter-Strike. And when that didn't work, you're right, the protocols didn't look good, which is ironic because, I mean, we talked about in a lot of cases, especially on Mirage, how like the protocols did look pretty good, even on the CT side. So I don't know what the situation was over there, especially with how much of a consistent map that is Inferno is that they play. It was weird, but the fact that they won is despite some of those things. And I think the amount of times that they just threw a curveball is maybe part of the reason that it did work at the start. And once they got found out, it was clear that it was a problem.
Well, we've got our bracket set up for you now that we've finished our last quarterfinal, and you know, I'm actually fairly excited for Wildcard Aether, Vincent. I feel like Aether have done a lot of good work in terms of roster development. I think they're building some chemistry right now, and I want to see what this roster has done in terms of playing up against top level NA competition. I don't think they're going to win that game per se, but I want to hope that they'll at least give Wildcard a run for their money.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me for Aether because, like, you know me, I'm a Brett fan generally, and I think Andrews looked pretty good. Honest has been fantastic. The fact that they're playing with Bezimek gives me a little bit more hope because Bezimek's firepower is crazy. But yeah, I'm just really hoping for Aether that they figure out where they want to go with this roster next. That, like, if that Bezimek move is the move, then take it, you know. But for right now, I think that if that's a step in a different direction, then that's where I would be concerned for them.
And then obviously on the other side, we've decided Zomblers to be our final quarter finalist. It is a bit of hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby, it feels like, Brandon, but we'll be watching. We're
going to watch M80 do what M80 do best, and then we should be getting set up for this wildcard M80 grand final, to be honest with you. Look, if Zomblers can just go back and watch the demo, right? Go back and look at what you did on Mirage. Look at how well you played together as a team, and then carry that forward across your whole map pool, then you've got half a chance. But I just think the individuals are going to be so much better for M80. Obviously, the structure and the coordination is going to be a lot better for M80. You've described it quite aptly. I am concerned for Zomblers before we even get into the veto and see what it is. I don't think it matters what the maps are going to be honest. I just think M80 are always going to be heavily the favorites.
Yeah, there's this concept of like indecision that they had, emboldened by the comeback from InControl for Zomblers throughout Inferno, where you're in like 3v3 situations on the B bomb site. You're like waiting to play after the fade of utility, where, you know, on Mirage they're willing to play ahead of the util, ahead of the flashes, ahead of the mollies, and it netted them positive round situations. And I hope that they can, as you say, use those learnings from Mirage and apply that to maps like Inferno as well. But that's gonna do it for our broadcast. It's a little bit of a shorter one, but tomorrow night we're gonna have a barn burner slate of games, and of course, with that grand final as well, to start sending teams onto our LAN portion, or at least our close qualifier portion of Thunderpick World Championship here in 2026. But from me, Paladin, from our lovely casters, Brandon and Vincent, we hope you guys had a lovely time, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.